In the 22 years that I have been on this earth, I have realized one thing. I am not a summer girly. I am made for cold weather. For the next 3 months, I'm gonna be miserable, but that's okay, because then we're gonna have perfect fall weather. The time has come to talk about all the books that I read in May. I ended up reading 16 books, which is really fun. I did not see that coming, but yeah, I was in a huge reading mood, especially towards the end of the month, and I had some pretty good reads. Again, because I am unprepared as always. I fully forgot to do the statistics before I sat down to film the video, so I'm just gonna put them on the screen. And I do know that the average rating is probably gonna be kind of high because I found a 5-star book. I am so happy about that. And then just a lot of other books had really good ratings. I had some very bad books, but a lot of them were pretty good. So yeah, the first book that I read is Make Me by Tessa Bailey. This is the third book in the Broken Beautiful series. I read the first 2 books the previous month, like April. Yes, April. I ended up giving this book 2.5 stars. I did expect to give it more, but it was boring. I did not care about them. I did not like the main guy character. I did not like them together. I didn't care about the romance. If there was even any romance in it, it felt so rushed and so just superficial. I don't know. Did not like it. It was not for me. So yeah, out of all of the 3 books in the series, I would say the first one is my favorite. Then this is the second favorite, and Need Me, which is the second book, is literally my least favorite. I really hate that book. That book is so bad. Then I read The Clock Down the Block by Amy Award, I think. This is the first book in the Cocky Kingman's series. I ended up giving it 3 stars. It was not bad, but it was definitely boring, kind of. I don't know, I felt like it was trying too hard to be quirky, I guess. It didn't feel like it had a lot of tension, a lot of build up. I wanted more, because it's basically best friends since high school to lovers, and he's a football player, she's like a librarian, and they live pretty, like, they're neighbors, and he has had a crush on her for so many years. And I thought that I was going to like it because our female main character is a plus size woman, so I was very excited about that, but it did not live up to my expectations. It was an easy, cute palette cleanser, but yeah, I will not think about it again, which is kind of sad because I really wanted to love that. Then I read The Favor by Suzanne Wright. Why did the whole internet lie to me? I have seen so many good things about this book. I have seen so many people saying that this is incredibly good. This is one of the best marriage of convenience that I think it is, like fake marriage of convenience, that kind of trope, and saying that it's like boss and employee and it's just billionaire and all of that stuff. And I had so many expectations. I went into it, I gave it 2.5 stars. It was boring. Like, I could not wait to finish that book. I was so freaking tired of it. I was bored. I didn't care about them. I still don't understand how they were attracted to each other. Like, I did not see it. I was bored. And I feel like that says a lot, because fake marriage of convenience, it's one of my favorite tropes. So in order for me to be reading a book with that trope and be bored, I feel like that says a lot. Then another book that, again, the whole internet lied to me, is Nora Goes Off Script by Annabelle Monaghan. I feel like this author is a very popular author, and I have heard so many good things about this book. And also I think that the other book is Same Time Next Summer, I think it's called. So I was trying to find like a really good book that I was really going to like. So I was like, okay, that's kind of like a given that I'm gonna like it. No, it was not. I ended up giving it 2.5 stars, which is really low. For me, at least. I would say the first half of the book was pretty good. I really enjoyed it. It was very fast-paced. I really liked the writing. But then the second half was so just meh, I guess. I don't know how to explain it exactly. I felt so bored. I didn't care about the characters. I feel like we didn't have tension or build up, and then all of a sudden they were together, and something was missing for me. And also I feel like the third act conflict, the third act breakup was just like miscommunication. I'm sorry, but the third act breakup was literally one of the dumbest things that I have ever read. It was such a huge miscommunication that could have been resolved in a chapter. But no, we went on for at least like 2 chapters. No, actually I think more than that. Not resolving it. And I'm like, why? I was really annoyed when that happened, and I felt very frustrated that we didn't just talk about it, and it was kind of more so, oh, I saw that, so I think that, but I'm not communicating it, and I'm not talking to the other person and saying like, oh, is this true? Is this like actually what is happening? I was very frustrated about that, so I did not enjoy this book. I did really like the writing though. It was very easy to read. So I am going to read more books from this author and hopefully they're gonna be better. And then like the rest of the world, I wanted to watch The Idea of You by, what's the name? Robin Lee. So obviously I went and read the book first. The book was a choice. It felt like I was reading a Wattpad book, which I'm pretty sure that it is a Wattpad book. I ended up giving it 2.5 stars. It was entertaining. I do prefer the movie because then I did end up watching the movie. So I do prefer the movie, but it was fun. Hated the ending though, and in the book I didn't really love our female main character. I prefer how they did that character in the movie a lot more, and I also prefer the ending of the movie. Then I went into the, what's the name of the series? The Hardy Billionaire Brothers series by Saint Rose. I read the first book, which is Between Commitment and Betrayal, which I ended up giving 4.5 stars. I ate that up. I love that book so much. It was so good. I did not expect it. I literally saw a quote on BookTok and I was like, that sounds interesting. Let me read it. It was so good. The tension, the characters. If you like possessive male main characters, please read this book. And honestly, the second book too. We have Declan and Everly, and it's kind of like the Dreamland Billionaire series by Lauren Asher. Basically, okay, it's kind of complicated. Her father dies, and her father is also, well, I guess was also business partners with Declan, and they were kind of like a family. Basically, her father in his will is like, I need you to marry, otherwise you will both get nothing and you will literally be out on the street. So they end up getting married, and they actually don't really like each other, but they are attracted to each other. And I loved how the author did the tension. I loved how the author did the characters. I loved every single scene. It was so fast paced. I literally could not put it down, which doesn't really happen that often with me. And I love the characters. I love the universe. I love kind of like even the ending, kind of like how unhinged it was. The only bad thing that I have to say with this series is that, and I think that it's kind of like, it's more so kind of annoying, is that you meet characters that are part of like another series and they do play kind of like a big role in it. So I feel like it's kind of, I think that it's like Rena Kent. That she had like this huge universe and there's a particular order that you need to go into it. I feel like this is kind of like that, and I'm definitely gonna go back and read the other books, but I feel like the author should have put kind of like a disclaimer, I guess, that in this book you see characters that you get introduced to these particular books, because I feel like sometimes I was kind of confused because I was missing things, right? The same thing happened to the second book, which is Between Love and Loathing. I also gave it 4.5 stars. Again, we have our two main characters that also need to follow the will in order to get their like part of it, part of like the inheritance, and what they need to do for that is to basically work together, but they really don't like each other because it's Grumpy X Sunshine to a T. It went so fast. Again, all of the things that I said in the first book, the same goes with this one. I like the characters. I do think that I prefer the first book. I liked the plot a tiny bit better, but this was also really good, and I would definitely recommend it if you are like in a reading slump and you need something that will get you like to read more. This was Rivals to Lovers done in a good way. And also this book had like baking, because she is a baker. Every single time that I see baking in a book, sign me up. Then I read The Layover by Lacey Walden. I ended up giving it 3.75 stars. I might even lower it to 3.25. I don't know. I'm not sure yet. This book was confusing. Again, a very popular book, especially when it first came out. So I was like, oh, okay, summer is coming. Let me just read this like kind of tropical summery book. We have our female main character, and she's a flight attendant. She's engaged and she goes to this work trip for like the last time. This is like her last work trip, and after that she's quitting. And there she meets another flight attendant, and at first they don't really like each other, but then they end up learning more about each other. And I did not like how she was already engaged to another person. So I'm like, why did we need that? You know, I get it, that's kind of like character development and how she starts to be more so like comfortable with who she actually is, but I don't love it when that happens. I don't like it when there's like another person in the equation, I guess. And also some things about our female main character I could not understand. She was so confusing sometimes. She would say one thing and then she would go ahead and contradict that. She was not my favorite character. I didn't really like her that much, but it was like a fun palette cleanser. So yeah, I didn't love it, but it wasn't the worst thing ever. The next book that I read was The Wedding Game by Megan Queen. I ended up giving it this 2.5. 2.5. I did not like this. I did not like our male main character. I did not like our female main character. You can tell that the author was trying to make our female main character very quirky and very just, I don't know, cutesy and all that stuff. We have Luna and Alec. They're in rival teams of this like game show, and I didn't care about it. I honestly just wanted to finish it. I thought that it would be like a fun, cute rom-com. It was not. It was actually very, very unenjoyable. I didn't care about the two characters. I didn't care about him. I didn't care about her. I literally could not care less about the romance. Yeah, it was boring. He was a weird character that I feel like he was one person and then all of a sudden he was another person. Kind of like the switch did not really happen very gradually. It was very just, he was very grumpy and mean and all of that stuff. And all of a sudden, he's like a great guy. And also some things that the characters would say, I was kind of iffy about. I was kind of like, you could not, you didn't have to say that. But yeah, did not love this, sadly, but it is what it is. After that, I read I Hate You More by Lucy Gilmore, and I ended up giving this 4.5 stars. I really, really liked it, which I did not expect to like it. This was the perfect rom-com. It was so easy to read. It was so just fun, silly, but in a good way. Basically, we have Ruby and one of her friends begs her to just take their dog to this dog pageant as a contestant. There, she meets Spencer, who is one of the judges. He's also a vet, and let's just say that he sees the dog and he's like, this is not a dog for this pageant. Like, it's no. So throughout this whole book, it's kind of like Ruby trying to prove that yes, he can do this, the dog can do this. Spencer being annoyed with her because she's still like determined to do it. And at the same time, you get so many cute scenes of the dog and just like them together, everything like that. And she's a nurse and she works at a nursing home, so you see all that fun like old people vibes. And I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. It was definitely like a great fun read, and I really liked how the whole book was done. I think that it dealt with some serious topics and I liked how it did it. I would still say that it's a rom-com, but it definitely has some more serious topics. I was pleasantly surprised that I liked it so much. Then I read At First Sight by Olivia Dade. This is the Harlot's Bay, like the first book. I love this book so much. I ended up giving it 4.75. It was so close to 5-star, but something was missing from the romance. But we have a female main character and she is engaged to this guy. In their engagement party, she basically meets his brother for the first time. She doesn't know that he is his brother, so they spend some time together and she's like, oh, this guy's fun. Months later, the engagement just gets broken off, but something happens and she has to leave right next door to her ex's brother. So they don't like each other at first. They really just don't like each other at all, but obviously being neighbors, they end up seeing each other more, and being in this small town, they end up seeing each other more, and they create like this relationship, and I really loved it. And the thing that I love the most about this book is the mental health representation. Our female main character struggles with depression. It's a pretty big thing in the book, so I would definitely say that if you get triggered by that, maybe don't pick up this book. But I loved how it was talked about, how it was depicted, I guess. It felt so realistic, at least with my experience. I think that it was done in a great way. So I loved that whole thing, and I loved how big it was in the book. So I feel like this book will always have like a special place in my heart just for that. I was so happy that I finally read that book because it did came out in the beginning of the year, I think. Then I read Fish Out of Water by Katie Ruggell. I saw this book. It was very cute, like the cover was very cute, so I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna read it. I should not have. I ended up giving it 2.5 stars. It was all over the place. I was confused for the majority of it. Well, okay, I wasn't confused, but it was like from the beginning of the book, it was just, what? Basically, we have a female main character and she goes to this small town that her sister went for like vacation because her sister is missing, but nobody believes her. You know, she's the only person that is like, no, she's in danger. I know it. So she starts to search for her sister and she goes to the stranger's house in his like property, trespassing essentially, and he does not seem like a safe person, but she's like, no, I'm going to talk to him because people saw him talking to my sister. So you're just gonna go alone? there. Like, her choices were so dumb. And then all that happens. And they go to this mountain, this forest, to look for her sister. And she starts to be attracted to him. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but if I had a sister and my sister was missing and I knew that she was in danger, I would not care about a guy. It could have been done in a better way, because I was reading it and I was like, I'm sorry, but you're literally making out with him while your sister is in danger. It felt weird to me because it's not like it's a dark romance, so it's kind of like natural for the characters to be in danger. So I was like, maybe we should focus on finding your sister. Also, the ending was unhinged. I did not expect that, but it was kind of entertaining. The whole book starts with her trying to find her sister. Especially in the beginning of the book, it's such a huge thing, but in the second half of the book, finding her sister is not, it doesn't seem that important in the story, and I'm like, that's not nice. Then I read Teach Me by Olivia Dade. I really like this. I gave it 4.25. This is a teacher romance. We have Martin and Rose. Rose is a teacher at this school and Martin is like the new teacher in that school, but the principal ends up giving Martin some of Rose's classes and she is annoyed with that. So she's like, I am just gonna keep my distance from him. I don't care about creating like friendship or anything like that, and she's truly like a closed off person in general. But Martin is not a bad guy, so she's starting to see that and they end up being attracted to each other. And I thought that it was really nice. I really loved how Martin was a single parent. Basically, he got a divorce from his wife, so I really liked how that was done, and I really liked again the mental health in this book. I feel like this author reminds me kind of like Maisie Eddings, not necessarily the writing, but I feel like they give a lot of importance in the mental health of their characters, and I really like that. So yeah, I really enjoyed this book. It was very fun, and surprisingly enough, our two characters are in their late 30s, I think, and I didn't expect to love that so much, but I did. I really liked it. Then I read the second book in that series, which is 40 Love. 5 stars. Yeah, I gave that book 5 stars. I still think about this book all the time. I'm obsessed with it. It was so good. We have Tessa and Lucas. Tessa decides to go to this vacation with her best friend. I actually don't remember where. I think somewhere like in, I think Miami? Like a private island in like Florida, I think. When one morning, very early in the morning, she's at the beach. She's wearing a swimsuit that doesn't really have that much support, which is a big mistake, as we figure out later, because she's trying to kind of like adjust it, I guess. And then there's this wave and her top just gets lost in the sea, and she's like, oh my god, what am I gonna do? Like, I cannot just go out. There are kids and the kids are coming towards me. So she obviously does the only rational thing, and that is to call out to Lucas, who is just sitting there on the beach minding his job. I really liked their first encounter. I really liked the rest of it. I really liked how they opened up as characters, and I really liked how they were like, this is what I need. I'm not saying that you need to give that to me, but I'm telling you that this is something that I need. If you can give it to me, like if you can open up to me, I would appreciate it. If you cannot, I understand it. I felt like communication was really good in this book, and I also really loved that she was like, I think she was she was 40. She just became 40, something like that, and he was 25, 27, something like that. I really liked them together. I really liked the age gap. I really liked everything about this book. And also, it's a great book for summer because it takes place in an island, a tropical island, and I had so much fun reading it, and it's definitely like a 5 star. Originally, I actually did not give it 5 stars. I gave it 4.5. 4.75, but I could not stop thinking about the characters, and I literally wanted to go back and read it again. This book took me so long to finish just because I would go back and read scenes again and again and again and again. There was this one scene that was actually kind of sad, and I literally read it, I want to say like 4 times. I could not get enough of it. I loved it so much. Then I read the third book in that series, which is Sweetest in the Gale. I think that's like the last book. This is actually a novella bind-up, which I did not know. I started reading it and it was going so fast, but I was like, this is like a 300-page book. What's gonna happen in the rest 200 pages? Little did I know that it's 3 stories. 3 different stories in one book, 3 novellas. The first one is about Candy and grief. Candy is a character that we meet in the first book. I did not care about them. It was, again, they're both teachers. They end up having to work together. I didn't really like it. It does deal a lot with grief, so if you get triggered by that, maybe skip that. I do not care about the characters. I was very bored, and at some point I actually put it down and I did not pick it back up for a long time because I just did not care. The second novella is about Simon and Poppy, and he's like a math teacher and he's very strict and just grumpy, where Poppy is an art teacher and she's kind of more so like sunshiny, like fun character. Again, they end up having to work together. He ends up having to be her mentor because she's like new in the school. I did like it. I definitely prefer it from the first book, but again, for some reason I didn't get that much attached to the characters. I feel like because it was so fast, it was like literally 100 pages. I feel like I didn't get enough of the characters in order to get attached to them. So yeah, that was something that I was missing with that. And then we have the third novella, which is about Elizabeth and James. Basically, Elizabeth doesn't have insurance and she might have cancer. So in order to do the test that she needs to do and like then medication and all of that stuff, treatment, she needs insurance, otherwise it's obviously going to be crazy expensive. Enter James, that once he learns about the fact that she does not have insurance and she obviously needs it, he proposes that they get married in order for his insurance to cover her. Again, the same, I did not really care about them. I feel like we didn't get enough of the two characters for me to actually care about them. When they ended up being together at the end, I was like, yeah, okay, sure, that's nice. I didn't care about the three novellas, and it was kind of heartbreaking because, as you saw, I read 3 books from this author previously, like before picking up this novella, and I really liked them. They were all above 4 stars. So I was like, I had very high expectations, and that might have been my mistake because I was expecting a lot. I definitely think that my favorite one was the second one. I did think that that was fun, and it would probably be the only novella that I gave like 3 stars. The other 2 I would probably give like 1.5, 2 stars, but I ended up giving the whole book, the novella bind up, 2 stars. And the last book that I read was The Backdrop by Jacqueline Snow. Yeah. I ended up giving it 1 star. This was really bad. This is like we have Michael. So he goes to this hockey team to do his internship, and there he has to kind of work with the coach's daughter, and they become friends. And obviously then they become more than friends. It felt like it was trying too hard. I did not like Michael. He was so cocky, but not in a good way. I disliked him with the passion. He was so annoying. I did not care about him. Our female main character was good, but I did not care about them. I did not care about them together, and I really disliked Michael as a character, which is not something that happens to me often because usually I might dislike the female main character, but I don't dislike the male main character. I might be indifferent towards him, but I never am like, I don't like him. With this book, no, he was not it. He was yeah, it was just annoying. I did not like it, and I honestly don't think that I'm gonna read anything else from this author because I hated every single minute of that book. Even the beginning was bad for me, like no. So yeah, those are all the books that I read. I actually read only 2 physical books, which is crazy to me, but that's okay because I did read a lot of books that I have had on my want to read list for a very long time, and I did have like a pretty good month, so that's always amazing. But yeah, that's all I had to say. I hope that you liked this video, and I hope that I'll see you in my next one. Bye!